session, let's discuss the next data manipulation operation, that is concatenation. So concatenation of data frames can be achieved by using a pandas function called as concat. This concat function will help to concatenate data frames. There are many ways through which actually you can concatenate a data frame. One is by using the dot concat function. We can also concatenate data frame by setting logic on the axis. We can also use dot append function. We can also concatenate data frame by ignoring the indexes. We can do it with group index keys and with mixed n dimensions. Today's session we will be using dot concat function, and we will also study about some of the options that you can give in this function. So concat function concatenates an arbitrary amount of, you can use concat function. Concatenation actually can be done between series, you can do for data frame objects, you can also do for NumPy arrays, right? So basically when you concat an series or data frame along an axis, we can do it while performing optional set of indexes on the other axis. And in NumPy, NumPy concatenation also can be done, which I'll be showing in the Python program. So this diagram shows the concatenation operation of between two data frames. This is the data frame 1 and this is the data frame 2. So both are like 4x4 data frames, and you also have data frame 3. So when I'm just calling a simple function pd.concat without any other options enabled, you can see that all the 4 data frames have been concatenated together. So this is the first frame df1, this is the second df2, and here is df3. Similarly, if suppose you give for concatenation function, you enable an option called as axis 1. So when you make axis as 1, the concatenation happens in a horizontally. So you will have here in this example, you're concatenating between df1 and df4. So you can see here that this part is df1 and you have here bdf over here, right? So here you are concatenating horizontally. So let's go to the Jupyter notebook and work on concatenation of NumPy, series as well as data frame. So let's first see how we can concatenate NumPy. So I have imported NumPy and pandas. Then let's create two NumPy arrays, array1 and array2. See, array 1 I am creating by saying np.arrange 0, 9. It's a 3x3 array, and I'm creating one more 3x3 array called as array2. Now just call simply this function concatenate. Even NumPy has the options of concatenate. So I'm using now NumPy, right? I'm demonstrating how concatenation happens using NumPy library. So np.concatenate, where I'm giving the arguments as array1 and array2 within a square brackets. In this case, I'm giving axis is equal to 1. So as I said, when I say axis is equal to 1, the concatenation happens next to each other, right? So this is the array1 and this is the array2. So you can see that both the array1 and array2 have been concatenated. Suppose I make axis is equal to 0, then the concatenation happens vertically. So this is the array1. Right, from here to here we have array 1, and this part above and below we have array 2. So let's now see concatenation between series. So create two series, pd.series and call a random function where I'm going to generate 4 values. So this is my series 1. I'm creating one more series 2. So I have two series here. This is the series 1 and this is the series 2. Now concatenate series using the pandas library. Okay, you can concatenate series and data frame obviously because they belong to the pandas using the pandas library. So say pd.concat, say series 1 comma series 2, and you can see that since I did not specify axis, you have them one above the each other. So you have, this is the series 1 and this is the series 2. Now let's see concatenation of series with axis. So when I made axis is equal to 1, so what happens is here you have this as the first series, okay, and then you have the second series over here. So basically when I made by default, if you don't specify the axis, it will be 0. If you want to set the axis, you can make it as 1. Now from this result you can see that there is no overlap of data, right? So what we observed here is there is no overlap of data. Therefore what we have just done here is basically this was like an outer join, right? There was no overlap, right? There's no overlap of data, so this is more like an outer join. Now how can I change this? Is you just make it into inner join, inner. So if you specify the join as inner, you can see that when I execute it, I'm not getting any meaningful output, right? What I'm getting here is nothing meaningful. So when I execute this, you can see that I'll just execute each and everything. So this is the array 1, this is the array 2. I'm concatenating the arrays. Now I'm concatenating the now I'm executing the series. This is series 1, this is series 2. Let me concatenate the series. Now when I concatenate the series with axis is equal to 1, you're seeing that it is more like an outer join. There is no overlap. So if you want to make overlap, we can try to make join in is equal to inner. But you can see that the concatenation has not happened correctly, right? It is not meaningful. So in such a case, if you want to do overlapping, then what you can do is just give one more option called as keys and make it as 1, 2. So when I make it, you can see that, right? You can see the execution now. This is our series 1, and in fact even the index has been given as 1, and this is our series 2 with the index as 2. Okay, so you have an option of keys where you can specify to ensure that you have a hierarchical indexing on the axis of concatenation. Okay, now the same thing, if I make axis, this was for axis equal to 0. Since I did not specify the axis, it will be 0. If I make axis is equal to 1, let's see what happens. Then it is more like an outer join that we just saw before here, right? So if I make axis is equal to 1 and specify both the keys 1, 2, then it is more like an outer join. Now let's work on concatenation of data frames. I have created 2 data frames. This is one data frame, right? And for which I've given the index as 1, 2, 3 and the columns as ABC. So when I execute, this is the data frame that I'm getting. Now I'm creating one more data frame, right? And this is the data frame which is created. So this is one and this is another one. So when I concatenate these 2 data frames, frame 1 and frame 2, see I am getting like this. So I have not given any option, since if I did not specify the axis, it will be by default 0. So what has happened is this much is the frame 1, the upper part is the frame 1, and this below 1, this is the frame 2. Okay, now suppose I specify the axis and make it as 1, then what happens? Just like before, right, they will be concatenated next to each other, right? The data frame will be concatenated next to each other, but you can see that they will not overlap, just like how it happened in series. Okay, so this was just a quick overview of how concatenation can be done between the numpys, between the series and between the data frame. So any comments regarding this, you can please write it in the comment box, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.